I'm not even turning to a stream pilot, to be honest. This is fucking terrible. Like, look how fucking exciting this fight is, guys. Honestly. Look at this shit. You're playing Toho, except you're playing a fucking beat-em-up. You're waiting for him to do the one move that you can hurt him in. It's based on the fucking movie that it even made him to a fucking joke. I think there's like one other move he does where he has these 4 statues, I guess, and I guess that somehow makes him do that, but for some reason this doesn't heal him. He just kind of fucking sits there and does nothing. It's like No Country for Old Men, I guess, except this is actually worse. I actually would rather watch No Country for Old Men. Because that movie was fucking boring. I mean, I kind of have a little nostalgia for it because of Confused Matthew, but it's just like, what the fuck? This is just fucking dumb. Like, if you were to do that shit more often, it'd probably be a more interesting fight, but this really isn't. It's fucking boring as sin. Like, who the fuck thinks this is a good fight? This is fucking horrible. Like, he's probably only hard because of that one fucking move he does with the dash attack. If he didn't have that, he would be a fucking piece of piss. And I think it's there just because he had it in the fucking Turtles in Time game. Which is extra depressing, because that game actually had a much better final boss fight. It was simple, but it actually, you know, he actually fought you, and he didn't fucking do this stupid pussy shit hiding behind a fucking shield, and pretty much is like the worst fucking villain ever. Like, what the fuck? It even fucking does it again. It's like, what the fuck? Why do they always make it to a fucking joke? Can you just be a fucking badass for once? It's like, come on. And I'm gonna share this fucking Asperger rage or whatever the fuck. There's this dude leaving comments on my videos saying that my tangents are fucking Aspergian when he can't even fucking spell Asperger's right, which is fucking hilarious. I'm guessing he's a troll, but I'm just gonna assume that he probably secretly likes my content. Not gonna pull Mr. Sparrow or anything, but if he really thinks that my content is so good, going by his logic sense that he just leaves, oh, you have this type of rant is Aspergian rage, when he can't even spell Asperger's correctly, and not to mention that the first video he commented on, I was like, oh, Asperger rage. So it's like, okay, fine, whatever, it's a troll comment, fine, whatever. But then he comments on another video, which is about Sonic Frontiers, and then says that my takes are fucking horrible, which is absolutely retarded. I don't think the dudette, or I'm not gonna fucking say it, has left a comment explaining how my takes are actually bad, because when I edit my videos, I always watch that shit like several times ad nauseum to make sure I don't miss anything. I know my edits are kind of shit, but at least I make sure that what I want to get out there is conveyed, because besides editing manipulation, which I try not to do, you know, it's kind of hard for me to put stuff together, and I don't like reading off of scripts. And you'll probably see that when I do work on a, you know, rereading of old-ass 10 things I hate about Mafia 2, which I want to get out there because I think it'd make for interesting discussion. I kind of worded it horribly, but if I were to redo that video, I'd just probably just use that as the basis and just, like, restructure my rant. Because the game is actually good. I just think that the game has some problems that definitely hold it back from otherwise being probably one of the best sandbox games of its type, despite not really doing a good job at the sandbox type gameplay, which is pretty depressing, to be honest, because the game is actually really good. I might actually play it again, because I might actually try playing the Definitive Edition, to be honest, just to see if it's like any better than the original, at least, because I actually did play the original on the fucking Xbox 360 quite a while ago, and I wanted to see if this new version at least holds up, but it's like, I don't mind people criticizing me and saying, oh, I don't agree with you, but when you say I have a bad take, when my whole point of the Sonic Frontiers video that I made was mainly calling out people who had even worse takes than I do. You know, I do remember the days of people like Richard Kuda going on about Sonic Force sucking just because he has green eyes. That's fucking dumb. But of course, people like Big Al, not the one that people probably know now, the actual Big Al Forever 2K6, which surprisingly his old archive account is still around, even though it technically is his account. It's just an archive channel at this point, which is pretty nice. It's like, yeah, that shit was dumb, but even after playing the game years later, I probably would have hated it even more if I played it back then. It's like, I've seen Johnny's review. His review made the most sense to me. You know, I usually have a lot of reviewers I can usually trust, particularly with Jado, and some call me Johnny. Well, at least I used to with Johnny, because I just don't care for his doing content. Usually, if Jado says something sucks, then I know it probably sucks. And he does a really good job at his reviews, honestly. There is maybe one or two reviews I really don't like that he did. I know that, I think the only review, despite it actually being pretty good from a structure level, is the Carmageddon 64 one. And I get that the port is fucking terrible, but I really hope he does play the PS4 version of Carmageddon X Damage at some point, because it is essentially what the game originally was. It's just not a shitty glitch fest that was Nintendo 64 version, because most of the gameplay is in there. You're still using the warping. The racing is intentionally fucked up, but that's kind of the whole point. It wasn't meant to have good AI. It was just more or less a structured racing mode with kind of shitty AI. Yeah, it's not exactly the greatest excuse in the world, but it was just more or less an excuse to have you running over people and shit. Since in certain versions of the game, they had to change the pedestrians to I think it was dinosaurs and then zombies. It was very clear the game was going to have you running over people. It's essentially Death Race 2000, the video game. Which that movie was actually really good. I actually watched that. It was honestly pretty good. It had a pretty cool story too, and even has Sylvester Stallone in his absolute prime. You even see him naked, which is pretty alright. It's all the ladies who love Sylvester Stallone now. Gotta watch that shit. He was really young. He didn't have he didn't play a major role, but he was still pretty alright. It was definitely a great movie, honestly. That movie was actually good. I'll have to watch the TV-made movie or whatever to see if it's any better. The one with the fucking giant-ass semi-truck that makes me think